welcome to One on One, right here on CHCO Television. I'm lucky enough to be your host, John Higgins. Awful good to be with you today. What a show we got coming up. I have Gary with me, and Gary Island, we are filming right from the music. I love this.
The Music Vault.
The Music Vault. And
Right.
that's where we are. The Music Vault located right here in St. Stephen on Milltown Boulevard. And Gary, first of all, it's really good to meet you.
It's great to be here. I appreciate you coming to my venue to speak to me today.
Oh, absolutely no problem at all. And I'm going to tell everybody how this all came about, okay? But first of all, a little bit about you, okay? You are a host and a promoter.
That's right.
Right? You originally from Ontario, Oshawa.
Oshawa, Ontario. That's
Oshawa,
right.
Ontario. Had a
Yes.
career there, then retired.
That's right.
How in the world did you end up in St. Stephen?
It's a good question, John. I went through some research trying to find a venue, but I wanted to solve two things: a place for me to live,
Yeah.
as well as put on what I call house concerts, intimate listening spaces like the one I have here.
Is it ever?
And I found this on Kijiji. It wasn't even MLS. And I decided that once I investigated St. Stephen, educated myself of the town, the type of people that live here,
Yeah.
I decided to make the move and retire a little bit early. So I left my job and drove out here with my trailer and moved in upstairs. And I'm so pleased because, as you know, I ran my first show recently last weekend with...
That was your first show, and I want to tell everybody about that.
Sure, okay.
Just so, first of all, house, small venue, 40 people?
40 people.
That's amazing. So I heard that the show is going to be on, and my wife says, we're going to go, and I said, great, super, you know. And she said, now there's only 40 people going to be there, and I said, holy Lord. And she said, yeah. And I said, what are we going to be listening to? And she said, blues. I said, okay. And the lady performing that night, her name is Teresa Mallon. How do I say that?
Malenfant.
Malenfant.
And the other fella, part of the blues duo, was Scott Medford.
Scott Medford on guitar.
On acoustic guitar.
Whoa. So we arrived, and here's this lady sitting there, and I thought, okay, this is cool. Us and 38 other people, okay? Whoa, she opened her mouth and just blew the ceiling off this place. Blues, just amazing.
She's a vocal powerhouse for
She
sure.
And I couldn't get over it. What I'm getting at, Gary, I haven't been to anything like that in St. Stephen. I haven't heard anything like that in St. Stephen. And within a smaller group like this. So you've hit it dead on, as far as I'm concerned, as far as
Thank you.
You know, what you do and what you're trying to do.
Right. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's the interactivity between the audience and the performer and vice versa. Usually somebody very talented also has a good sense of humor in the sense that they'll comment on something and the audience will maybe even speak out. And it gives you the connectivity between the music and the and the audience and vice versa. That's what I'm trying to create, because that's what house concerts are. They're an intimate, up close and personal experience for live music. And that's not what you get when you go to an arena show. It isn't just the cost, like dinner, parking, the cost of attending the show, but it's the intimacy that I'm trying to create, because the musicians actually love it better than the audience. As much as we enjoyed it Saturday night, they have a chance to connect with the people, not just at intermission or after the show, but with their music, and even talk about how they put that song together, either compiling it from a music perspective or maybe writing a song. And I think that kind of intimacy with the audience and with the performer is where it's at for the future. I mean, before arenas were around for live concerts, people did it all out of their house.
Yeah.
Just like a funeral. Funerals were done out of homes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So people would also have live music at their house, and it was a way to galvanize the community. Maybe have the people that come that might be new to the area, like myself, meet a friend. Isn't that the whole idea, that
exactly,
if you're going to continue with something like this, you want people to be able to relate to it and say, I want to go back because it was different, and these are the reasons it's different. So they're a spokesman for me if they enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. How do you find these acts? How do you do that?
Well, a lot of it's done in my own research. I decided to just Facebook Teresa, and we had a conversation, and it just went from there, and we conversed that whole time like that, except maybe twice on the telephone. Other ways, I have a friend in Pembroke, Ontario. He owns the Festival Hall, Rick Wharton. He has a roster of individuals he brings in for his soft seat theater. I think it's 400 seats or something. And sometimes I'll bounce some musicians off of him that I think would work here, that maybe are heading on a tour this way.
Yeah.
So what happens is a large show gets booked, or several large shows. I call myself filler gigs, and they see it that way too. So you're kind of talking like the musician, where I could piggyback off their tour to the larger theater shows by saying, if you're willing to play a house concert, I could have you play here. Could I have the full band? No, but I could do solos and duos.
Right.
And if that lead singer and maybe their guitarist could attend, I'd be happy to have them and promote the show. Now, not every artist does that. It depends on how big they are. But there are people out there in the States and Canada that just do house concerts. They don't even concern themselves with the bar.
I did not even know that.
Or other venues. They make a livelihood off of house concerts. The only downfall of that is the cost of gas now and accommodations. You got to really plan it out when you're an artist. And I'm trying to respect that and say, if you're passing through the Eastern Seaboard or coming from Ontario, Quebec, and you're going through St. Stephen on your way to Halifax, I'd like to talk to you about a house concert gig that may interest you. That's kind of where it starts. So I kind of watch where tours are going, but I also connect with my friend Rick in Pembroke. Yeah. And I have a couple other connections I'm making now with other promoters that might be able to slot somebody in for my venues. So
you're in this venue. You don't do big bands.
I think, yeah, you're right. Duos, maybe a trio, definitely soloists. Yeah. I might do a full band. It's just that when I put the drum kit in here and all of the equipment, you were here Saturday, so you saw those two, you put the two monitors in, it was probably enough room because the chairs the first row was pretty close.
Right, yeah.
But that's part of the appeal.
Oh, I guess.
I think the acoustic part of it is where I'd like to go. I mean, there'll be the odd one I'll have with electric guitar, but with the size of this place only being 750 square feet, it's kind of difficult to really expect the band to play here, and the people might find it a bit loud, but you never know. It depends who it is.
Yeah. Local bands. Again, like I was saying, she isn't from here. Is it her first time performing here? I think it is.
It might be her second, because I think she was at the arena once with Katie Day from America, or Canada's Got Talent. She goes by Anika. I think she had performed a few songs with her at the rink here in town. But yeah, as far as a house concert, I would think it was her first one here.
Yeah, amazing. Right. So speaking of talking about local talent, which we have a lot of here, the big bands, it's kind of hard. Right now, it's kind of hard. So are you going to support the local people too?
Definitely. I'm glad you brought that up, John. So my plan is to also feature local performers, local musicians. So how I want to do that is one ticket price for maybe 3 or 4 local performers. Yeah. And do it like maybe late afternoon into the evening. Yes. Still providing the coffee, the dessert, and the water. That's all included in the ticket price.
I know.
I'm not charging for that. You pay for your ticket, it's included.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too.
So that's what I want to do with the local people, local musicians. Give them a chance to perform and maybe gain more experience, or maybe they already have a lot of experience and just want to play here. Yeah. Because again, that interconnectivity with the audience that maybe is missing at other gigs. I'm a niche market. I don't know if market's the right word, but it's definitely a niche venture here.
Well, it is.
I'm not out to make a lot of money on this because there isn't that much in it. But at the same token, it fulfills a need that I think is needed in a lot of communities, not just St. Stephen, but I'm glad I'm here to offer it, though.
We are glad you're here again because like I said, you know, I honestly have never been to a venue like this. It blew my socks off. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it really did. I thought, wow, this is super fantastic. Haven't heard anybody like that, you know.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain. She has a Janis Joplin style about her.
That's right.
Doesn't she? Mm-hmm. You know.
Etta James, Janis Joplin, she comes from that sort of
era.
Background, but she has a really strong blues background. I mean, she's been doing this since 1975.
Yeah.
So she's a pro.
Yeah.
She's a veteran at it, and that's what I like about her too. She was making people laugh.
She was.
You'd almost wonder if she could do a stand-up comedy routine.
Really, and another thing I want to mention.
Yeah.
You could hear a pin drop in here.
Well,
there wasn't anybody talking there. You could just, when she was performing, whoa.
See, John, that's a good point too, because I want this to be a listening space.
Yes.
So if you can hear a pin drop, that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
You did it.
That's up to the crowd, but some of these events you go to around town, there's a lot of talking going on when the performers are playing. Yeah. And I'm trying to avoid that. But I think also when you put a really good talent that captivates the audience, that kind of thinking goes away.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can say to them, put the cell phones away, shut them off, but when your attention is grabbed and you have the interest and desires there to watch them in action, I would suggest that that's the way to go, and people just watch the show without you having to say, okay, we're talking a bit too much, could we please respect the performers? Because it is about respect too. Yeah. But the respect has to go both ways. The musicians will see that in the audience and give them the same love back.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it,
Speaking of the up close and personal, I had a chance. Burton Cummings was at. It was his up close and personal tour, and it was him and his piano.
That'd be awesome.
And it was at the Imperial Theater.
Okay.
Which is, he's used to playing in stadiums, and you know, with the Guess Who, but he's on his own now. And talking to him, he said, I love this. He said, I love this one-on-one that I have with the audience. And it's just, you know, so you get that feeling like with her, when she was performing, she was enjoying herself as much as we were enjoying.
That's a great point.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, because on Facebook after, I just sent her a thank you for coming and playing my small space. And she responded, I loved it. The audience and yourself couldn't have been nicer. Yeah. And I'd love to come back because and Scott really enjoyed it as well. Perfect. And that's exactly what you're talking about. The feeling Burton got with his connectivity with the audience is no different than what Teresa. She got. Yeah. Because she's probably been to thousands of venues and seen it all, right?
Yeah, she said that.
She's probably played bars when she was younger, and
she did.
There's nothing wrong with that, but they're not always there to listen. They're there to eat and drink a beer.
Exactly.
That's why a listening space, I keep coming back to that, intimate space where people all respect everybody that's there, but also the musicians, not just their audience friends.
Yeah. We're going to be back. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to be back with Gary, and we're going to keep on talking about promoting, hosting, and this great venue. Right back in a moment. Hi, welcome back. John Higgins one-on-one. Today with Gary Island, promoter, host, entrepreneur, music lover, music provider. What a job. You're doing great. I'm excited about this because, like I said, we've never had anything that I know in St. Stephen like this before. And, you know, you're opening up new doors. So, you're doing it.
It's important to try something new. I mean, I've wanted to do something like this since I was thinking about retiring. Yeah. Because I had dabbled in it with a few shows back in the early 2000s. Yeah. At Oshawa Little Theatre, I brought Rick Emmett from Triumph in. That was the biggest thing I ever did. Really? Yeah, and you brought him in as a solo? As a soloist, yeah, and he played to 360 people at the theater. Oh, okay. And it's usually used for plays, but that kind of gave me the itch to do this. Yeah. So I thought when I retire, I would like to dabble in it a little bit more because I was working then, so I didn't really have a lot of time to do more shows. Even Although I did do one other show, How to Hug a Porcupine. It was an anti-bullying play.
Was it a play?
It was a play, a stage play. So he would bully the woodland creatures like the porcupine, and and it was for the kids, for the elementary kids. We bust them in, and it was a play about bullying isn't the right thing to do. It was trying to show kids that you can be friends, but you have to be able to converse and talk to and understand the other person. So we did that too. That was my brother helped me with that because he was a principal. So he organized the schools, and I had the kids bust in. We did a couple of matinee shows at one of the high school theaters there.
Speaking of that, you are so interested in the young talent here, the up and coming young talent. And as you were telling me a little while ago, are you thinking about bringing some of this young talent in?
Well, last year I met with the music director at the high school, at St. Stephen High School, Scott Legg, and we talked about having students play here, and I'm all for that because some of the ones I saw were really good. And I thought, well, maybe they could open for a performer as long as I get the okay from the performer to do it. Usually most are receptive to something like that, but I'm working on that. I mean, I think it would also be a way for them to get some experience performing in front of an audience.
Yes.
A smaller crowd, so that maybe they get used to it, and maybe when they go to a larger place, they already have the nerves are gone. And it gives them experience to play, but it also allows their parents and friends and maybe cousins, grandparents to come and see them play too. And I guess it's twofold, because then it puts people in the seats for me as well, in the sense that it's a ticket price, but they also get to see their son or daughter perform, and then the main act comes on.
Exactly.
So I haven't really completely gone forward with that, but I want to help the community that way, make it local, but also bring in acts that are established from farther away.
I know.
The Eastern Seaboard, like I said.
You were telling me the other day, I like this. When you're scouting for a performer, okay, you want to stay away from agents. Stuff, or is that the word that I used?
Yeah, you're right. Booking agents, other promoters.
Yeah, because they well, you got to have this, and you got to have that, you got to have this, and you were saying the performer, all they want to do is perform, right? You know,
that's a good memory. I did mention that a few days ago to you. See, I think with that, I'd like to get a hold of the actual artist, and I did with Teresa. And it's easier. It's kind of like a real estate rep. If you have somebody in between, and you can't talk to the homeowner, it's tough sometimes. Because you may not get what you want, and they may not either. So what I'm trying to say is, if you deal with the person, but not every person that performs also does their own booking. So when you talk to an agent, you have to know right up front, okay, if I offer a flat fee, you're not going to say, well, if the house is full, we want in the back door, I call it another 10 or 15%. This is not a slam against agents. They know what they're doing. And with the larger acts, I get that, and even with the smaller ones, but that's not always the easiest to deal with. But if I find an agent like my friend Rick Wharton, he does a little bit of booking, but he tells you up front and explains what you're going to see in the agreement, and not get pulled in at the end and say, I have to talk to you for a minute. I'm not going to book shows based on hearing something that wasn't in the agreement. That's not fair.
No.
And why would it be? So again, I'd like to talk to the performer, and some do that on their own. It's just easier, but you can't always do it that way. But make sure whoever you're talking to, you can trust. This industry is all about trust, even for small shows.
This is the first one that I've been to where the intermission was free coffee, free desserts. Whoa, that's kind of a plus.
I think it's good to have some value add. If you remember too, I had St. Stephen dollars that I had handed out based on a draw. So there was 3 names that were drawn, and they won some St. Stephen dollars to take to local businesses to support them, because I'm in the cusp of the downtown area. I think it's as important that my neighbors get supported with what they sell as a service or product as they do to come here to see a musical performance. And I thought that was a good way. And Heather McEachran Donahue donated those dollars to hand out to the patrons that came that night.
See, everybody's behind this.
She's a BIA president, Business Improvement Area. And conversing like this and doing things like that is what can sustain the downtown and improve the downtown. It's all about support. I mean, really, it is.
And I think everybody supported
Everybody support live music, support your coffee shop.
That's
Like,
right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah.
So.
How many shows are you going to do? How many shows a year?
Well, I'm only going to probably do 2 to the end of this year, and then going forward, between 4 and 6 per year, probably 4 next year, hopefully 6 by 2025. I don't intend to do, I'm going to get approached, that's the other thing. I feel like now I'm getting approached by musicians that heard about this, saying, oh, I play, here's a demo. That's fine and everything, but I have plans of who I'm bringing in here, and I'll eventually get to that. But if I'm only doing that many shows a year, patience might be a virtue for some of these performers, but by the same token, I'll look at it. If I think a lot of it has to do with if you're seasoned, and even as somebody that's new to it, and you have some practice and you work on your craft, I'm excited. If you can play guitar, play piano, play accordion, drums, whatever it is, I'm open to it.
Right.
Even if you were a good magician,
Yeah.
if you can believe it. Like if you want to put a magician in here, maybe that works, because people like to see things like that.
Yeah.
Or comedians, because I always felt that comedy and music
Go together.
Yes.
We saw that the other night.
Comedy and music blend it. Like when you're laughing and happy and you see good musicians, it makes the performance feel better.
Yeah.
I had whose line is it anyway, open up for Rick Emmett that I mentioned earlier from Triumph. And the people were laughing so hard by the time that half hour was up, they thought they were watching the best performance ever. And it could have been, but they felt that way because their feelings were all about positive, right?
Do I dare ask upcoming performances?
Okay,
Next,
so...
got a guest in mind?
Yeah, so I'm working on bringing in Carl Dixon, who used to be with Coney Hatch. And he also has been the front man for the Guess Who. Not Burton Cummings or Randy Bachman's Guess Who. These are former Guess Who members. I think there's 2 of them now.
There is.
That play. One of them's a drummer, Gary, somebody I forget.
Yeah.
And he used to front the Guess Who before his accident. I'll just touch on that in a bit. And then he also does tribute show for the Who and the Eagles.
Whoa.
So he's a very seasoned pro, and I'm working on it right now, bringing him to play here. And I think he's important because he's going to play a mixture of music from covers from other bands, like the Guess Who, maybe even April Wine. I don't want to give all of it away, but he'll also play some from his Coney Hatch days. But it's all on acoustic guitar. It's a solo performance.
I was going to ask you.
His voice and his acoustic guitar. I've seen him play recently in Picton, Ontario. And I talked to him afterwards, and he said, I'm very interested.
Really?
I want to bring him here. So that'll probably be in September sometime. Stay tuned for the date and time.
Really? We sure will stay tuned for the date.
Yeah, he's really good.
There's 2 shows. Now, you're going to do that again, a matinee show and a night show?
If there's the demand for it.
Yeah.
So could I mention somebody locally that helped me with the
Sure,
first
you
show?
can. Sure.
So Anne-Marie White.
Yes.
Sold more tickets than I did for the first show, and we sold it out in 4 days.
You're kidding.
Because of her connections in town. That's another thing. I don't have the connections being new, but she does.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've partnered with somebody that's valuable to the community, not just for my place. She's helped fundraisers. One time, she helped a fundraiser in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, and drove to all 3.
Wow.
Just because she wants to be involved and help.
Yeah.
And those kind of people you want to attach to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have... a second show I should go back to that. The second show is based on, because we sold that out so quickly, I thought, well, maybe I could add a second show. Got a hold of Teresa. She said she'd be glad to do it, and Scott. And we sold, we didn't quite sell it the second show, but at least the demand was there because people that had missed out on the evening tickets were able to attend the afternoon. So that always is based on demand, supply and demand. So if people want to come and there's enough
You'll do it.
interest, I will add it. But I don't go out saying I'd like to have 2 or 3 shows in one night.
Yeah, no.
Wait, you get the idea.
I get the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to go.
It's over already?
It's over already.
Wow.
Okay, this has been great. For heaven's sakes, you're going to let people know when your next show is going to be. You say in September, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking the end of September. Might be the 29th or 30th.
That's okay.
I'll work it out.
You'll let us know. Okay. We have been talking with Gary Island right here at the Music Vault. When the next show is announced, please, for heaven's sake, if you want to have fun for yourself and you want a real experience, come and see the show. I'm John Higgins. I'll see you next time right here on One on One.